to say, I wasn't expecting you today, I said to the man in the pinstripe suit. I suppose you have already met my mother, but I don't think she's met you. You were invisible the last time around, right? I said. The man in the pinstripe suit hopped down from the dresser. Yes, well, that's all part of good business. You don't always need a bunch of other people nosing around. You just interfere with things, he said. But now it seems as if you've brought your mother in on the whole thing. A bold move, I must say, young Regiment. And as for your performance, I think it was a little heavy-handed on the book, but overall it was quite well done. Good marketing is a part of good business after all. Oh, and as for our latest guest, Mrs. Worthington, the man in the pinstripe suit said, looking away from me and towards my mother. In a blur of red light, he was at my mother's side in a flash, standing right in front of her. She tried to step back, but was right against my bed. The last time we met, I was, unfortunately, not able to be seen by you, but now I believe we can make acquaintances. You may call me whatever you like. It doesn't really matter, the man in the pinstripe suit said, taking a slight bow before pirouetting around and beginning to slowly pace away from my mother. Your son's performance was a bit heavy-handed, as I said, but despite that, he actually stood quite close to the truth. In fact, I failed to find a lie in it. Heavy-handed and operatic though it may have been, it served its function quite well. I'm impressed, young Regiment. You're learning that there's more than one way to do business, that sometimes it all comes down to a good sales pitch. Oh, I replied. Did I miss something? The part about you being nigh immortal or undefeated, was any of that off the mark? Oh no, of course it wasn't, the man in the pinstripe suit replied. But it is a little underhanded to use my reputation, don't you think? After all, you might say that your little victory was just blind luck. Perhaps, I replied. But whether blind luck or not, when it comes to selling the goods, as long as it's technically true, you're not lying. So there shouldn't really be a problem in saying it. Besides, I'm pretty sure that your reputation is beyond dispute. A 10-year-old telling his mother a story shouldn't upset you that much. The man in the pinstripe suit chuckled. No, not really. I just felt it worth mentioning. Besides, I'm simply here on business anyways, and didn't want to interrupt your performance. But if you're all finished now, we can conclude our business. You already have the first half of your payment, the compendium. From the stories you tell, you've been making good friends with it. I would hope that was the case. I'd hate for it to go to waste. And now it's time for the second part of the arrangement, the man in the pinstripe suit said, slowly pacing around the room, taking his pocket watch out and checking the time. I do have other appointments, and I'd hate to be late, so let's hurry this along, shall we? Well, I'm actually surprised it took you a week to come back. I would have thought for sure it would have been much sooner. I certainly don't think you had a shortage of resources. Now, Mr. Worthington, the man in the pinstripe suit replied. I believe you've been reading that book enough to know that magic isn't as simple as people tend to make it out to be. Just because I have the power to make something doesn't mean it's going to get made instantly. Things take time, young man, especially when you do it properly. And as requested, 3 construct abilities, each with endless potential. The man in the pinstripe suit tucked away his watch, and as he pulled his hand back out, he extended it towards me, clenched his fist tightly, and as he opened it, I could begin to see light, pure, blinding white light, pouring out in every direction, filling the room, blinding, and there, in the palm of his hand, floated gently, circling in a clockwise motion, 3 tiny, brilliantly bright lights. The time has come, young Reginald. They're all ready for you to claim, the man in the pinstripe suit said, holding in his grasp the three whirling lights. Even I was taken back by it. For a moment I found it hard to find words. What do I do with them, I asked. Well, all you do is take them and place them to your chest. They will absorb into your being, become a part of you, and that's all there really is to it, the man in the pinstripe suit said. But they're still construct abilities, correct? How am I supposed to set them once I've already absorbed them? I asked. Oh, well, that's quite simple, young regiment. Once they are effectively a part of you, you'll be able to sense and perceive them. Just close your eyes and focus, and you'll be able to visualize them. Then all you have to do is use your magic, your knowledge of magic, to arrange them however you see fit. That's all there is to it, my boy. I stepped forward. One by one, I began to take each ball of light, placing it to my chest, and away they'd go, sinking into my body. It was actually quite strange, like a sensation of warmth that would quickly fade away. A little unsettling to watch a ball of light disappear into your chest, but I was actually starting to get used to unsettling. And after the final ball was placed away, the man in the pinstripe suit stood up, straightened his jacket. Well, I believe that's all the business we have for today. As I said, young Reginald P. Worthington, I do expect that I'll be seeing you again. After all, businessmen such as ourselves always aspire to great things. And when you aspire to great things, it's only natural that you come into contact with other great people, he said, beginning to laugh a slight bit under his breath. I'll see you soon enough, my dear boy. And with a snap of his fingers and a flash of red light, he was gone again. I turned around to look at my mother. The look on her face was still absolutely stunned, as if she couldn't find words. I'm actually surprised that she was able to stay silent that entire time. But to be fair, finding out that magic is real is definitely a big one. Even I didn't adjust to it that quickly. It took me a few encounters before I started getting used to the idea that strange things come with knowledge of magic. I needed to reassure her. I smiled confident, strolled up towards the magical index, and repeated the phrase, magical index, out loud. And just like that, the book shimmered into a silvery light, turning back into the crystal. I grasped it, put it in my pocket, and then I stood there, as confidently as I could. So, Mother, I said, do you understand now? Father's little month-long delay works to my advantage. If I use that time properly, by the time he gets back, everything can have changed. It could all work to my advantage. No, not my advantage, Mother. Our advantage. My mother, still looking surprised and overwhelmed by the moment, she looked down at me and began to slowly step towards me. Still that look of astonishment on her face. She kneeled down in front of me. Without another word, she embraced me tightly in her arms, holding me tight. I always knew, Regiment. I always knew you would do amazing things. She pulled back away from the hug. Of course, we can have whatever you need done, my son. If you need time to master this, we'll have it. I am your mother. It is my duty to ensure that you have absolutely everything you need to succeed in this world. I would never dream of shunning you this great opportunity, she said, smiling. You, my son, are going to do wondrous things, she said, looking at me lovingly. And just like that, my business expanded. This was exactly what I needed. It all worked out perfectly. It couldn't have possibly worked out better if I tried. Now, I had all the time I needed. An ally who was in control. Someone who could influence the adults around me. Make sure I had privacy when I needed it. Everything. With my mother helping me, I might even be able to manage getting some of the other help that I needed. A way to bring in Eliza, to communicate with Alice. And just like that, my troubles got cut in half, and the feathers in my cap just kept multiplying. I couldn't help but smile.